Hey everyone, welcome back to the recap of the Walking Dead universe. We are here live every week during the show season to discuss the latest episodes. Today we are covering The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2, Episode 1, Power is Power. I'm your host, Tamara, and I'm glad you've joined us for today's episode. A special thank you to anyone joining us live tonight, taking time out of your evening to be here. We appreciate that a lot. Before we start, please follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. The links to find both me and Lisa are in the show notes. And if you like what you hear, don't forget to hit the subscribe button because you don't want to miss a single episode. Joining me today is show co host Lisa. Welcome, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, or hey, Tamara. I'm on it today. Hey, Tamara. Hey, everyone. My name is Lisa, and I am an author. I am also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture.
So, are you excited to be back on lives?
I am. I've been doing really good, as we've recorded some things. But now that we're live, apparently I can't speak.
Look, me neither can I. I'm stuttering all over the place. It's a mess, y'all. I'm like, we have no problem when we're just recording. Which by the way, we are covering The Last of Us, the current season. So if you have not been aware, on YouTube it's available and it has its own feed on audio. So if you're curious to what we have to say about this season of that show, it's available right now.
Yep.
So
And
before we get go ahead, girl.
oh no, I was just gonna say it's fun to be back. We have been gone. It just seems like almost forever since the last time we were talking about The Walking Dead.
It has been a long time. I don't even maybe a half a year, maybe longer?
Um, it was before right around Thanksgiving, I think, was our last show.
Yeah, so like 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Yikes.
Wow.
It's been a while. And
Yeah.
guess who did not go back and rewatch any episodes?
You.
Yeah, I did not. Did you?
I did not, but well, I will say because when they started the season up, this episode, they did a pretty good recap.
Mhm.
But I did go back and watch the first episode a second time today,
Oh, okay. Good for
and it's
you.
not
I ran out of time.
well. It was there was a lot of darker scenes, and I was thinking, I'm like, I may have missed something, and I came upstairs and I watched it on my giant monitor in my office, and I'm like, oh, okay, where I sat, about four, 3 feet
Okay.
away from it, and I did miss some things, so I was glad I watched it again.
Okay, good. So, everyone, before we get started, we would love your participation in this conversation. So, if you are listening live on YouTube, hit us up in the comments section. If you are listening on a replay, you can still comment on YouTube or Spotify, or you can even leave us a voicemail using the Speak Pipe link in the show notes. If you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our view style, right, Lisa?
Oh, absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Right. No scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around a lot. And of course, a huge spoiler alert for everything in this world through yesterday's episode. We do not watch ahead, so you're safe from that. So if you're good with that, this is the place for you. And let's jump into episode 1.
All right.
Okay. So I got
I
to say, I got to turn back on that AMC Plus.
I got I as a funny. Did you watch the after thing of the show?
I did.
Okay, because I got to tell you, watching that scene where Negan is eating the roaches,
Yes.
and it turns out that they had actually put some actual roaches on that plate.
Yes. Like half were real roaches and he ate them.
He didn't know, and I didn't know this, but I guess he needs glasses now.
Yeah, he couldn't see, I
And
guess.
he's like, that's right. Give the blind person a plate full of roaches.
Well, they were sure to let us know, hey, they were like roasted and
Yeah.
cooked, and it was safe for consumption, so it's fine.
And I guess just to be me, or just to be funny, I guess the one of the scene guys was like, make a few of them extra, juicy.
Yeah.
And so he didn't know what he was going to get. And I guess every one of them had a different flavor and a different texture. Um, but so the reaction of him eating each of those was authentic.
Oh, that is so gross to find that out. I'm like, "Oh, I feel bad for you, dude. That's awful."
Yeah, you could tell he was a little salty about it.
Yeah, just a little bit, you know?
And then I guess to make him feel better, some of the other people ate the roaches too, just so he wouldn't feel alone.
Yeah, like, it's a team effort here. We're gonna take one for the team and also eat a roach.
Yeah. I needed to share that, I felt that need because I thought it was kind of funny because he had this really interesting reaction if you watch him, e eating those that plate of roaches.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was real.
Yeah. It nah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how that tastes. I hope I never find out what that tastes like, but I'm sure it was not delicious.
Well, as he said, crunchy on the outside, soft on
Soft
the
on the
inside,
inside,
just like he
disgusting.
likes it.
Ew. Ew.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you, did you think it was gonna be Negan sitting in a cell at the beginning of this episode or him running the city?
I thought he would already be doing it.
Yeah, me
I
too.
didn't think he'd be locked up still.
Yeah, I figured that Negan would go, all right, fine. You know, I'll bring back the old Negan. It's got to be better than eating roaches in a cell. But I will say this: he's been there for a year, and I admire his dedication.
He held out, you know? He was, yeah, I think he actually really doesn't wanna return to that version of him, so he was holding out, and
He
plus, you
was.
know, they had nothing on him for the longest time.
Yeah, they're like, well, we could go after the kid. He's like, yeah, but I don't know if you met Maggie. You met Maggie. Remember Maggie? She kind of came through here like a chainsaw.
Yes,
She's a mama bear.
and she
But
will bite you and eat you, tear your throat out.
exactly. So he figured, as
Yeah,
long as Maggie was back at the settlement and she was, you know, they're safe, that they were both safe. And so he was fine. And the one girl too, his, little follower was there as well. So and they didn't even know about her.
yeah, yeah, she was a secret still, which is great until, you know, she served herself up, so, you know, I guess we'll
Yeah.
find out what happens with that, but
But
yeah,
then, he finds out, oh, we found your wife and son. They're on their way here.
I know.
Ta-da.
And it's crazy because, of course, I remembered his wife's name was Annie, but then when they said Joshua, I said, "Is that his son's name?" I just did not remember at all what that kid's name was, and I was like, it must be right, they're saying it," but I had
Yeah.
no
I don't
clue.
I don't know that they ever mentioned it. He was just, the kid.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And yeah, he sent them on their merry way to get them out of the whole situation.
Mhm.
Um, but here she is on her way back, like it or not.
Yeah,
And Negan is pragmatic.
he is.
So he would be willing to sit in that jail cell probably for the rest of his life. He has a lot of experience sitting in jail cells at this point.
I mean,
Uh
he had a lot of experience with putting people in jail cells, so I'm sure he can adjust, you know, it's
yeah,
fine.
well, I mean, he sat there in Alexandria for
Years.
years.
Yeah, he's accustomed, but
They
I
did
don't
feed him
know.
better there.
Yeah,
Uh
they did. They treated him like a human.
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So, but he was willing to he didn't want to go back to who he had been. But and I guess we're going to find out if he really does or if this is just going to be like a coat he puts on to get out of this mess.
I think honestly, I think he's gonna ride the line. You know, I think at first he's gonna be playing a part, right? Playing a bit, pulling up the old material that they want, right?
Right.
And eventually, I think he's gonna skirt the line a little bit. He might start feeling himself again, you know?
Yeah.
That could totally happen, but I think seeing Jenny show up there might snap him back
Yeah.
if that happens.
And I will say, I mean, he did put on something of a show in the church,
Mhm.
but honestly, it wasn't even as good as the one he put on from last season when they were in that what shopping mall or whatever it was. Ah,
Mhm.
hello,
Yeah.
but his heart was more in it because he had a goal and was trying to do something and he was committed to it. Whereas this is not something he wants to do.
No, not even a little bit. So they really forced his hand.
Yeah,
So he's like, "Fine, I'll do it." But, I don't want to, and it kind of I guess he got the point across, that thing electrocuted that guy,
yeah,
um, and he kinda got with it, and he had the speech, he did his thing, he did
right.
it, but you could tell he wasn't, like, all the way dialed in.
The swagger was
Yeah.
not there.
Mhm.
And that's what I really noticed was the lack of swagger because again, last season when they were trying when they got caught up in that by that group there in the uh, shopping mall or whatever it was,
Mhm.
and he, I mean, he pulled out the old Negan with the swagger and the drawl and the attitude,
Yeah.
and he kind of had the attitude here in the church scene, but you could tell that this was reluctant.
I think he did amp it up a little when he saw things were kinda going left, He's like,
Mhm.
"Okay, this might not be as easy," and so it seemed like he did ratchet it up just a little bit right before that guy got electrocuted, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the picture. I don't know if anyone, how many people can see it, depending on where you're viewing. Uh, of this one leader, the dapper looking man. He seems to be enjoying the show throughout
Oh,
most of this.
he is. He's having a good time watching, like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, so he's not
Mhm.
quite as bloodthirsty, I guess, or maybe he is. He just shows it in a different way. But yeah, he's very much enjoying the show.
Mhm. And it is a show.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yes, it is.
and the irony that it's in, like, a church, like a little j come to Jesus meeting.
It's like come to Jesus,
Mm.
buddy.
But, I think it's gonna be fun to watch, Negan's character this season. I think time and the separation from these characters, I don't have as much disdain in my heart for Negan's character anymore. It's kind of faded to, like, a dull roar, you know what I mean? So,
It's
uh
not, the visceral isn't
right.
quite as,
Yeah.
boiling.
It's not as strong anymore. So, I guess I'm more excited to see what this looks like from, a higher level now that I've been able to separate myself from it a little for a little while.
Yeah. Well, and it also it does kind of show that because it would have been really easy for him to fall back into that old persona
Mhm.
and do as she asked and live a pretty good life there in that city.
Yeah.
And instead, he chose to stay in a cell eating cockroaches.
Ugh, God.
And
Yeah.
even like the kid that was watching his cell, he's made friends with this kid.
Yeah, he's got one of those infectious, like, personalities where when he turns on the charm, people just like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he genuinely liked this kid, and
Mhm.
you could tell that he very much enjoyed the violin music.
Yeah, he did.
So,
He's doing what he needs to do, and of course he did wanna keep Maggie's son, safe, he did wanna keep Herschel safe as
right,
well as Jenny, because he knew that Maggie had Jenny, right? He does not want them going there.
right.
So
But, unfortunately, the bricks has been co-opted by the new Babylonian,
New Babylon
government.
Federation.
Sorry about that. And yeah, so yeah, that's a whole thing. And even Maggie was like, I didn't vote for this. You know, even though
Oh,
you cut off all of our supply lines and you did all this, I still did not want to be a part of you.
oh my god, doesn't that sound familiar? Oh
It
my
really does.
god. But anyway, I thought it was pretty funny that whole yeah, fiction imitates life, I guess. So
Hmm.
that's
Now,
what we're doing.
so I had asked you earlier today the bricks where they're at because last season we really didn't get a good picture of what this place looked like. It was mostly in the dark and just some snippets here and there. Um, but the opening scene with it, we got a good pan vision of it. Is is that the place that um Daryl's ex girlfriend with the military people took over from her years ago? Did you find out?
I did not, but okay, so all right, so this is what Google says. It says the community known as the Bricks is located in the tri-state area, specifically in New Jersey. It's a walled farming community established in 23 by Maggie and her group, who originally hailed from Hilltop. Duh, we know that. The Bricks is believed to be situated in the tri state because the community's trips to other locations are relatively short by car, suggesting it's in the region of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. So I guess I don't think it's the same.
Okay. Well, because what I when we were oh, to let everyone in on this, uh, when we were still over on The Walking Dead, and Maggie came back, and they were low on food and everything, she had suggested going to a place that had been previously occupied by her that had supplies
Hmm.
that had been taken over by the military or by the army guys and Daryl's ex girlfriend. So I was just the structure, the look of the place, and how it's laid out looks very, very similar to that. So they may have just either reused the site or that is the place that they went to and it is further than we thought.
Yeah. Probably. So, they reuse the sets and stuff. So maybe it just kind of looks familiar,
Yeah.
you know?
But her going again, going so far away from Alexandria,
Mhm.
so she's completely out of that sphere and has once again put her and her people in a bad situation because, if she had stayed back, towards the Alexandria people, they're doing pretty good.
Well, yeah, but she didn't wanna be around them before,
Right.
so I don't know, for some reason, she wants to be separate.
Yep. And
And
continues to make bad life choices.
yeah, she does tend to do that. That's like a big flaw with her character. She can't be, I don't know, do the right thing or make the most sense. She just I don't know. She thinks more with her heart than her head, I think,
Yeah.
nowadays.
Well, and she has for basically since Glenn died.
Yeah, she's very reactive and doesn't really think of the pros and cons of doing something before she does it.
Yeah. And
So,
that has caused a lot of problems with I mean her son,
mhm,
other people, other she does okay as long as there's nothing very confrontational.
mhm,
Um but yeah, as soon as there's like some stress, things get very brittle about her.
yeah. So, she ultimately has to prove her worth, right? She has to
Mhm.
prove that she's worth not conscripting more people and she's, I guess, valuable enough. So they throw her in this fight with walkers in a fenced in area. And I feel like that was the stupidest fight. I don't know. I felt like that was such a waste of time. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. It just seemed extreme, and it was giving that the, New Babylon Federation are bullies and not good people.
Oh, well, we knew that
Yeah,
because, I mean, their opening is, "Hey, we're going to conscript you
I
to go
know.
do this thing that nobody wants to go do."
And then they hung someone immediately.
And then they
So
hung yeah, so we've
there's that.
established,
Yeah, but it's like they're also stupid. I feel like, why are you doing this? What a waste of time.
yeah, but they're also I mean, they're pretty gleeful about this whole idea of going and conquering, you know, the city,
Mhm.
and I don't and the one guy, the colonel, I don't think he clearly explained how bad it was there.
No.
Because they're going in there thinking this is gonna be a cakewalk,
Right.
which it is obviously not going to be.
Right. He's got some lies of omission going on, I think.
Mhm.
Pearlie Armstrong, who got a promotion, he's now a
Yes.
colonel.
Well, and part of it's because he came back and said that he had killed Negan, which he
Right,
obviously
which
did not.
did not, yeah, and they're gonna find that out soon enough.
Yeah. And, Maggie was holding that over his head. No, I guess I'll just have to go and tattle on you.
Like, Like, you want to keep this up? Okay, I got some dirt on you too. But okay, so I have to say, and I don't know this actress's name. I should have looked it up beforehand. But she was on Orange Is the New Black, the woman that was acting all, kind of rowdy.
Mhm.
What the hell is going on with that wig? I cannot stand a fugly wig. And every time I see someone's hair that looks completely out of whack, I just cannot ignore it. It is a distraction. What the hell is going on? Who thought that was a good idea? I can't. I can't
I
do it.
I'm gonna be real truthful, I didn't pay attention.
Oh my god. Every time she was on screen, I could do nothing but look at her head. I'm like, "What is happening?" I was so
I
distracted.
honestly, I probably just assumed I was not seeing it correctly. That's a common issue I have, which is why I watched it again.
Okay.
But yeah, I probably just figured I wasn't seeing things right. So
No, you were probably seeing that right, and it was just a mess because, I mean, come on, hair and makeup. Come on now. What is going on? I'm sorry.
y'all could do better.
I complained about other people's wigs and hair and stuff. That shit, I'm sorry. We're so far into this thing. There's no reason for you to have a haircut that looks like that. It looked like a rat's nest on your head. But okay, I'm done.
Okay. Got it out of your system?
I
Feeling good?
did, but it was so distracting in those scenes. I kept looking at her instead of like the whole scene, but I just kept going back to her, and it was very distracting.
Okay. I mean, that's
So,
fair. And you could also, I mean, the relationship between Maggie and Herschel is better. They're in a way better place than they were when we first met them at the first last season.
hmm
Um, but you can still see that it's brittle.
yeah, it's still tense, and it's been a year, and they're still kind of in this shaky place. Still,
Hmm.
he still had a lot of trauma that he has not clearly worked through all the way.
Right.
Um, I don't know.
Well, and
So,
then there's he's drawing the pictures of New York
hmm
and the what is that woman's name?
the Dama.
Yeah.
hmm
And and when Maggie asks him about it, he's like, I don't know. I guess I saw her on a billboard.
Like,
He
why is
won't
he
even,
lying?
yeah, he won't even talk about it.
Yeah, that
Um,
that interaction he had with her was very weird and like off-putting.
yeah.
It was very creepy, and I feel like he needs to talk about that with somebody
Hmm.
to get it out. And obviously, drawing it is not enough to get it out because I'm like, why are you lying to your mother like this? Like, you're not helping anyone.
Right.
They have this whole conversation. She tries to explain why she's leaving and that she'll be back, and he seems to kind of accept it, but we know he's not going to stay put.
No, he's going.
Mhm.
Especially, he hit the target with his knife. He's like, yeah, you know, game on.
Yeah, he's like, I know what I'm doing now. I can be valuable.
Hmm.
So he's going
Well,
to go
and,
out there.
and I think part of their problem between he doesn't want to talk and she is terrible at explaining her motives
Mhm.
because as upset as he was about her going, if he I think if she had done a better job of saying, I did this so that 20 other people didn't have to go. I did this because otherwise they would have drafted whoever they wanted, and I wanted to
Yeah.
keep you safe and everyone safe. And I don't think she does a very good job of explaining herself.
No, she doesn't. And on one hand, I kind of understand how parenting in general, you don't have to explain yourself to your children. But on the flip side, when you have someone as volatile as Herschel is, and how
Hmm.
he's so mad already, a little extra explaining never hurt anybody.
Right. Well, and especially in this situation,
Yeah,
because he needs to know what her motives are.
right.
Clearly needs to know what her motives are.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't be just I'm going to New York. It should be they told me they were going to conscript me either way. And she should have started with that. They were going to conscript me. They already told me I was going regardless.
Right.
But I made a deal so that no one else had to go. And I
Mhm.
think that would have made a difference if he knew that either way this rolled out, she was going.
Right.
This wasn't her stepping up and volunteering. This was her making the best of a bad situation, which she never actually explained to him.
She didn't, and she had the opportunity when he said, "Oh, what, you feel guilty about Negan? This is about Negan still?" When he
Right,
called her like that, like, tried to call her out, that was the perfect opening to say, "Excuse you,
right,
this is what's really happening. It has nothing to do with him."
right.
So
They already informed me that they were taking me. I was going
mhm,
to be one of the conscripted.
right.
Full stop. So I made a deal so that I would be the only one taken from this community, which is
Mhm,
something, which is considering all the other people they have been rounding up is pretty impressive.
mhm.
So I think that would have worked if she had explained that to him. I think that would have made a difference.
I agree. I think it would've, but, again, Maggie is doing Maggie, which doesn't make much sense, but, whatever. I don't know how she's such a great leader, truth be told. I don't quite grasp it, but okay. I wouldn't be following her. That's just me.
Well, I
Not
wouldn't.
not nowadays anyway.
I mean, way back in the way back when she was first the leader of Hilltop before she lost her mind.
Mhm.
Yes, because at that point
Mhm.
she was a really she was a caring and decent leader.
Mhm.
Now she's just I don't know. She is such a brittle person.
Even a
And
year later, she's different but the same.
yeah, you can see she's talking quieter.
Mhm.
She's trying to be very encouraging to the kids. Oh no, just, remember this and oh, it's okay and we'll do that. And when was speaking to them, it was in very soft tones.
Right, it's like
Um,
she's cognizant of how she comes across, and she's, like, on purpose trying to soften things, but the
right,
minute how she really feels is to talk to him differently.
right,
How she really feels is, "Shut up, I'm telling you what to do, and that's it." She, I think, loses her efforts when she's in a stressful situation, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, her demeanor kinda flips back.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, she goes back to her default mode. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, which has developed and it's so many years now. I think she's just that way.
yeah, and it's not. I'm pretty sure at this point it's not like they have therapists, or really, and everyone is dealing with their own kinds of trauma. So, these are all very, very broken people. She's just not, she's much more extroverted about her issues.
So, I mean, honestly, the whole group of them, Maggie, Herschel, and Jenny, she like, "You acting crazy. You not my mama?" I'm like, "Girl,
Yeah.
okay, we know that. We know. Okay, calm yourself down. Like, what is
Well, and
happening?"
for whatever, I mean, and throughout, I mean, since the very first meeting between Maggie and Jenny, Jenny has, for whatever reason, just been incredibly hostile to Maggie.
Mhm.
And when she first met Maggie, Maggie hadn't even done her wrong,
Right.
you know? Um, but yeah, you can tell that she does not like Maggie at all. She's staying there because, options are limited.
Right. Which is true. And honestly, Negan wanted her to be there.
Right.
So she kind of said, fine, but she's going to take any opportunity to walk away from that.
Hmm.
And that's
Yep.
what she's done. She threw herself in the ring to help Maggie. And actually, that was helpful. She did need the help, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see how many times Maggie has to save her or vice versa. There's going to be something going on there.
Yeah. And we know at this point that Herschel's going to be tagging along behind.
Yes.
So things will get interesting very
Mm-hmm.
quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh because and there's also going to be some torn once they get on that island, and we don't know when Negan's wife and son will be arriving, but we will have Maggie and Herschel and the girl's name.
Yeah. Jenny.
Jenny.
Mhm.
And you know that he actually does weirdly like Maggie. And it's weird, but he does. I mean, there's some kind of recognition of insanity to insanity or something.
Mhm.
And he really does like Herschel. He's fond of Herschel,
Mhm.
and we know that him and the girl are. He found her annoying, but she was also very much a part of his life for quite a while,
Right.
and he feels very paternalistic towards her.
Yeah.
And in some ways, his relationship with those three people are more recent, more immediate than with his wife and son. Or
Oh, well, yeah, he hasn't seen them in a long time.
hasn't seen them in a long time. And that's not to say
Mhm.
that those feelings aren't there, but if he gets into a situation where he has to choose one or the other, I really think it's going to be a coin toss.
Really?
I really do.
I don't think between with his own child, but maybe with his wife, maybe, but not his child.
Um, and just because he really hasn't been, it's been years since he has
Mhm.
seen them
Mhm.
and has had any interaction with them. And I'm not saying that he doesn't still love them,
Mhm.
but it's only been a year since he saw Maggie and Herschel. And why can't I remember her name?
Jenny.
Jenny. My best friend in high school was Jenny. You would think I'd be able to remember that name. Anyway, but yeah, the three, those, especially with Jenny, that he had this long relationship with her, where he kept, there was a real feeling there.
Mhm.
So I think if the two groups get pitted against each other, he's going to be in a very bad place.
Well, that might be something that comes up, or maybe the 2 sets of, extended family or family will never meet. Maybe they won't even cross paths.
Right.
Uh, I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with it, but I think we will see Annie and Joshua on screen this
Hmm.
season,
Yeah.
but just when.
Who knows at
Yeah,
this point? And we know that they're on their way. We don't know how long they've been traveling, and we don't know how fast people are traveling at this point either.
right. We don't know if they're in a bus or what. We don't know any of that. So it could be a while. It could be episode 7 of 8
Hmm.
or 8 of 8. Who knows?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
the trains could be running at this point. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, they have power. Well, they have power in Manhattan, right?
Hmm.
And the New Babylon has power as well, but they're running out of it, which is the whole reason why they want to go take Manhattan. But uh, I also noticed that they're lying to people about the motivations of why they're doing that.
Hmm.
They're
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, all this history and art." I'm like, "What the hell? You are going for the power. Quit playing around."
Right. It and they were. Oh no, you don't understand. This is like this will let people know that we're here. Okay. No,
Right.
that's not the reason why they're going there.
Right.
And I don't think they want people to realize exactly how dire the situation is, because if they lose the power, they're going to lose this coalition, because I don't think most of these communities want to be part of New Babylon.
No, they were all kind of strong-armed into it.
Yeah.
So they don't want to be. And so, like, they're getting their power from, I think we talked about this before, from corn, from
Hmm.
ethanol, right?
Right.
And so at the beginning, they showed them like looking at these dry corn, but
Hmm.
I don't think that's what corn looked like.
It's not.
I've seen cornfields in Michigan. They don't look like that. But okay, I'll just, let it go. But they're like, "Oh, our corn's dead, our fields are dead. We need something else." And we all know that, the people in Manhattan, they're using what? Methane from the
Hmm.
dead.
From the dead.
And I wonder if they know that. Do they know? Do you think that Pearlie told them exactly how they were making the power?
I don't know, because he's been pretty. I mean, he's giving them information, but he's pretty cagey about what he's giving them.
Mhm.
And again, I don't think it seems like he did not give them the full scope of what's going on
Right.
in New York,
Mhm.
because he made it seem like they can just walk in and take over.
Right.
There's just a few, roaming bands. No, he knows that is not true.
Mhm.
He knows that there are, that there are groups, and while they really only met the one, he knows that there are organized groups throughout this whole area.
So do you think, like, he is on purpose setting them up to fail?
I think he has lied so much that right now his only choice is to continue lying and hope that by the time anyone finds out, it's going to be too late.
See how it shakes out?
Yeah,
Wow,
because
risky business.
there is a hope. He knows that he left Negan behind. Maybe in the back of his head, maybe he took over and we'll be okay.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Or there's been, an eruption of fights between the various groups or
Mhm.
whatever. Anything. It's been a year. Anything could happen. It's not like things are stable.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, it's true.
I did find it kind of interesting, the kid that they have following around that's journaling the whole thing.
Mhm.
I, and I know we know, like in Alexandria they had a school and they were teaching them, and we know that in Maggie's community they have a school and they are teaching them. What is going on with his education, because he seems to think that New York was the capital of the country.
I know. So, again, like, oh my gosh, they have lost, like, in another apocalypse story. We just don't know history. We don't know geography. We don't know that sounds crazy.
I think they know geography, but
Why would he
apparently
think
no
New
one
York was the
remembers New
capital of
York,
the
or because if they wanted the capital of the country, that obviously would be Washington D.C.
Right, why would he think it's New York? Who told
Right,
him that? Why if they learned geography, then he would know about Washington, DC.
right. And why didn't Maggie correct him? Why hasn't any adult corrected him?
I don't know, it's weird. It's weird, I don't know. But, such as, that's how Walking Dead does, weird stuff for no
Hmm.
reason, like corn that don't look like corn. And, I mean, all kinda interesting things they like to do.
Well, the corn is going bad because of the moths,
Right.
and it's killing their crops. So, which you know, I live in corn country. All right, I'm not Nebraska or Kansas, but I'm close.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and you know, I go 10 minutes outside of my house, and there's corn.
Yeah.
So yeah, corn is not as hardy of a plant as you would imagine it to be. It's very susceptible to a lot of diseases and stuff.
Mhm.
And
Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I think why the cornfields are dying makes sense,
mhm.
fine. It's been infested and it's killing the plants. That's okay. I just thought it was so weird. I'm like, what is this at the beginning? Y'all couldn't find like a cornfield that has like in the wintertime that looks different, like it was dying or something. Can y'all spend a little more effort on that? But okay. At first I was like, what are they doing? What is that? And I'm looking, is that corn on the ground? I totally couldn't even figure out what the hell was going on at first.
Yeah, I knew it was corn.
Yeah, I'm like,
Um,
that looks so weird to me though. But I don't know. They could have spent a little extra money. I guess they were spending too much money on trying to make Manhattan look fancy.
yeah, probably.
They got lights on this like couple of blocks.
On the one strip.
Yeah.
Which was still impressive for them because this city's been dark.
Mhm.
The group that Negan is with, a part of, captured by, does have electricity, but for the most part, they were only turning it on like at night in one building.
Right.
So they've obviously been working on this particular scenario, turning on all these lights, because if someone had just flipped a switch and no one had checked the light bulbs or anything, most of the stuff wouldn't have come on.
Mhm.
So they've been working on this particular little show for probably a few months.
Yeah, they're going around just collecting the dead and throwing them in those machines. Like, ew.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that there had been a plan even before they found out that there's going to be, an invasion.
Mhm.
Um, that they were probably going to try and use their power to browbeat the other groups into at least, giving homage to them.
Mhm.
So this has kind of probably worked nicely into their plans if they can get them to fall in line.
Yeah, I mean, if they control the power, and they have these apartment complexes and stuff with power, they're gonna do what they want or give them what they want, trade, do whatever to
Hmm.
live somewhere with power.
Right.
Like, it's a luxury.
It very much is.
Yeah. I know I'd probably do some bad things to to have a power in my apartment.
you
You
know,
know?
well, power is power.
Yeah, literally. It is, especially, in the apocalypse. What are you gonna do?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and that phrase could be, I mean, again, it could be power as in, control over somebody else, or power as in just electricity.
Mm,
Having the power to do these things
mhm.
is a big deal now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think overall this was a really good opening episode.
Hmm.
It wasn't too bland, not too it wasn't that exciting either. It was kind of like in the middle of the road, we got catch up, of what's been happening since we've been gone. They've set up several things. So I think they
Hmm.
checked all the boxes that were required for a premiere episode, I
Yeah.
think.
We got this good, clear picture of how Negan has spent the last year sitting
Mhm.
and eating cockroaches, and
Oh
making
god.
friends with his, jailers.
Yes.
But and I guess he's been hauled up out of there several times because they're like, just didn't we have this conversation just a few months ago?
Mhm.
Uh, so he's been hauled up there a couple different times, and he has turned her down every time.
Right.
And so that puts Negan, in the good guy checkbox for
For
right
now. Yeah, for now.
or now. Uh, and who knows where along that path he's going to be when he eventually runs into Maggie.
Right.
And they're going to. I mean, there's no point in this if they don't run into each other.
I mean, honestly, you know how Maggie, she just reacts, right? So when she sees that he's in charge of something, she's gonna flip her script. She gonna be like, "This again,
Oh yeah.
rawr!" She gonna jump on him like about it, which she
Well,
should.
but she has
But
no idea where what was going on when she left him either.
no, but that's the whole point. Like
Yeah.
she kind of let's fight it out now and talk later. She
Mhm.
doesn't really want to hear anything. I'm sure
Right. Right.
that's
And
her character.
in a lot of ways, Negan is the calmer of the two. Which is
Hmm.
kind of sad. He's the more logic driven between the two of them. And I'm not saying Negan is the most stable person. He is not.
Right.
But he does tend to be slow to anger, true anger. He'll
Hmm.
display it, for a show,
Hmm.
particularly when he's got the leather jacket on and such.
And the bat, Lucille is back.
And Lucille is back, and she can electrify things.
I know. I'm like, of course they had to amp that up a little bit
Yeah,
because
and
we're not smashing heads anymore. We're not doing that.
yeah,
Hopefully,
hopefully we'll see. I guess we'll know if the real Negan's back if he takes that bat to someone and just beats him
clobber
down with
some.
it.
Oh my gosh, do not like have some restraint, man. Just electrocute them. Be done with it. That's better than being bashed in the head.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't know what the voltage is. Apparently, it's not enough to kill because they did take that guy out of there and he was coming back to consciousness.
right,
But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a whole thing.
yeah. Oh, what did you think about like I guess it was basically a walker fight that oh boy took him to the
Yeah.
Croat. Like, did you
Um,
think that was, like, 2 walkers fighting, or was it 1 human fighting, like, pretending to be a walker?
you know, I'm that was part of the reason I wanted to watch it a second time, and I'm still not 100% sure. I'm thinking it was two walkers.
Uh-huh.
The reason being that at the end of the fight, when the winning walker jumped on the other one and they pulled him off, what was left looked mushy.
Mhm.
But I don't know. But I could honestly see them putting two walkers against each other to do fights and betting on them.
See, at first I was and I like, unlike you, I did not get a chance to watch it a second time, but when I was watching it, I'm like, "Is he, like, banging his head against him with those things?" I'm like, "Is that s how does it know to do that? Is it just a coincidence because he's trying to bite it, or I
Yeah,
don't know."
I don't either. Like I said, I thought that fight was kind of strange for a lot of reasons, and that was
Yeah.
part of the reason I wanted to watch it a second time. And I'm still not 100% sure, because walkers don't tend to try to eat each other.
Right, so what did they do to try to get them to fight each other?
The only thing I can think of is fresh meat.
Hmm, and where would they get that, I wonder?
I don't know, probably someone they didn't like.
See? See? Yeah, because 'cause I'm like, "What is this, Friday night entertainment? Okay. Guess they have nothing else to do." There's a lot of people there watching that fight.
Yeah, because I mean, unless there's actual people around, they tend to just kind of shuffle along they and ignore each other.
Mhm,
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was a person. I again, I watched it a second time, and the scene was dark and they're covered, and I really couldn't tell.
mhm. Yeah, me neither. I was like, "Okay, that was interesting." And if I can find maybe I'll go back and rewatch that clip again because I'm not rewatching that full episode though. I think I'm kind of done with it. But I do kind of want to see that section again. I'm very curious about it now.
Yeah,
Um,
I wish
uh,
like I said, it was part of the reason I watched it a second time, and even on the second watching, I'm looking at them, and I'm
mhm,
both of them are completely covered,
mhm,
and when they pulled the winning walker off, the remains didn't look fresh.
right,
You know, I guess
right.
that's the only way I guess I can just it didn't it looked more walker-ish than human-ish.
Yeah. So they probably did do some kind of trick where they threw some like human meat or something in there to make them think they wanted to eat it or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe some animal something or another, maybe. I
And
don't
and
know.
if they're starving enough, perhaps they'll go after each other if they smell, you know, delicious.
Yeah, maybe that's a new thing because I don't think we saw that before.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever seen two walkers fight. I mean, we've
Mm-mm.
seen them like climb over each other and push each other and things like that, but you've never seen them actually physically engage
Right.
in a fight with each other.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I don't know. So did you hear? So I think there were a couple news sources and other, I guess, super content creators or whatever that had access to the first 6 episodes, and everyone was giving their, I guess, impressions of this season.
Uh huh.
And it seemed like, pretty even down the line again. Some people really liked it, some people really hated it, and, even the people that really hated it, I think they liked it better than season 1,
Oh, good.
and, they made a point to note that the last 2 episodes were not released. So, I'm like, "Okay, so maybe there's something good in there that they just don't want getting out yet." So, I'm
Hmm.
excited for that because I haven't seen spoilers. Honestly, the things I've seen have been really respectful. No one has been spoiling anything.
Well, that's a
So,
nice change.
yeah, they've just been kinda giving, like, high level opinions, right?
Hmm.
So I'm like, "Oh, look at them." They probably were threatened to an inch of their lives. Like, "Don't you dare."
You will never get this opportunity ever again.
Right, but yeah, so I didn't go looking for the information, but a little bit of it, found itself into my feed again.
Hmm.
So the stuff I did see, I was like, "Okay, this is interesting." So and I'm sure there are some groups sharing spoilers amongst themselves, but it's not out there to just stumble across, which is
Right.
good.
Yeah, and uh, you and I have a good time speculating, but we
Hmm.
that's all we're doing. We are speculating based on our own opinions and things. And sometimes we're right and sometimes we are way off.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun to do that. It's not as fun if someone has spoiled the next four episodes for us.
Yeah, and to be really honest, so I think the level of engagement for me in this world with this show is a lot less critical as it was with The Walking Dead, the original show. You know
Hmm.
how before you might really want to know, oh my god, even with the last not The Last of Us, what was it? What was the Rick Michonne show called? I can't remember right now.
Oh,
Um,
the ones
The
who
Ones
live.
Who Live. Yeah, there we go. So even in that, we're really anxious to see what would happen. There was a eagerness to find out.
Uh-huh.
Everyone was like foaming at the mouth about it. But with this show, I think the enthusiasm is kind of simmered. It's not as rabid. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? So maybe that's also why we haven't seen spoilers like that. Just
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, honestly, I mean, I am enjoying this particular setup.
mhm.
I am. Because I know that you have really disliked Negan, but I've always liked Negan as a character. I've loved to hate him. I've even liked to like him. Uh, I've never loved him. Well, there's a couple of times where he did something very hysterical, and I did kind of love him for a moment. But no, I've always kind of I've liked Negan as a character. He's entertaining. Um,
He's a great villain.
yes,
He's a great
exactly.
villain, and I think that I started to feel like when he's a villain, let him be a villain. I'm okay with that, and I'm good
Hmm.
with hating a villain because that's what you're supposed to do with them.
Right, exactly.
But now they turned him into this, trying to be a good guy. And I think that it kind of works,
Hmm.
but I kind of also kind of wish they just let him be a villain. But I guess they have to evolve him. They don't have to, but they wanted to.
Hmm.
And I'm fine with it now. Whatever. It doesn't I still feel like it doesn't negate the horrible things he did. I don't know if you can really make up for some of the stuff he did,
No, he can't. I mean, he can try, and you can see that by trying to get out of by going away and trying to find a new place, he was trying to recreate himself,
Right.
and bad things happen.
Yeah. And maybe he can, recreate himself with a new group that never knew him like he did with Annie, right?
Hmm. Yeah. And and he was great. I mean, Annie's group had no idea
What an
how.
awful person he was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were shocked to find out that he was a terrible human being. um and so he had done a pretty good job of rehabilitating himself.
Right. So let's see, is he going to be able to stay in that state, or is he going to cross back over?
Right.
And
I think
or are they just going to have him ride the line the whole season?
I'm thinking he's gonna be jumping that rope,
Mhm.
you know, and like double dutch.
Yeah. Cuz he wants to look bad, right? He wants to
Right.
do what they want. He wants to look like he's doing what they want, right?
Hmm.
To keep his family safe. But at the same time, he's probably trying to keep his soul in his body.
Right.
So,
And there's also that line of, so we know that he's doing this because he's being forced to do this, but when does he start doing, will he start doing it because he wants to do it,
right, for the fun of it
for
again,
the fun of it?
for the power.
Hmm. Because power equals power, man.
Mhm. I mean, that is an epic line, and that's really literal and figurative, you
Yeah.
know?
And so and we kind of see, and we kind of see the whole dynamic of, I mean, because even all things being equal, this group that Negan is with is really honestly no worse than the Babylonians are.
Yeah,
Truthfully, I mean,
at
maybe
this
not
point they're
the
all kind of bad.
right. I mean, maybe not. Like the bricks. Those people there seem like they're pretty decent people, but again, power equals power,
Mhm.
and the the core Babylonian group is pretty gleeful about them. Throwing their weight around and making people do what they want.
Right.
I mean, when they hung that guy, did you see the smile on the woman's face?
Yeah.
I mean, she was enjoying the show.
That lady is psychotic. That character is psychotic. Like, what is going on there?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I really did. I liked the episode. I thought it was a good, I thought it was a good setup episode for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think so too. Look, again, I'm sorry, y'all. Look at that freaking okay, if you can't see that hair under that thing, that look awful. Damn, that is awful. Like, I cannot. Anyway.
All right, just put your hand up over her face when she comes on going forward. Just listen to her words and put a hand over her face, okay?
Why you do that girl like that? Come on now. Jesus. Oh God. Look,
I don't
it's
know,
gotta be
big hair,
something for
big
me to
power. I don't know.
look, I gotta have something to pick on. And they made it so easy for me to zero in on that. It was so easy.
Yeah, there's another hairstyle that you went after for a while there. I think it was, oh, I don't remember which one. Oh, the one with the kids.
Oh my God. Yes,
You're
those
hateful
awful.
about that one too. I remember.
Look, I feel away. Don't be having these women on this TV looking crazy. Come on now. We in the
Well,
apocalypse, but you can braid some hair down or something. Come on. I don't know.
well, she seems pretty content with her hair living its own life.
Yes, she is. And she acting well crazy too. She seemed like she's that character is missing a couple screws. I don't know.
Well, and as big as it is, it gives her like an extra 3 inches of height.
Yes. Yeah,
It
I guess so.
expands her presence. All
Uh-huh.
right.
Yeah.
Because the more space you take up, the more powerful you're supposed to be. I mean, that's like 3 extra inches of power right there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying here, okay? I'm
Uh-huh.
really trying.
I know. Look, I will probably move on from it. Maybe not. I don't know. How many maybe we should do shots every time I bring up this lady's hair. I don't know.
I'm not sure anyone can handle that here. Maybe we can put a hat on her. I don't know. Maybe next episode she'll be wearing a hat.
Yeah,
Come on, we can hope.
more often than not, please have the hat on. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe there'll be other things for me to look at other than her. I don't know. Oh, jeez.
I did. I will say this too. Watching Negan in the sitting there in the confessional, and he's just like, I just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
And the guy comes in, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned and sinned and sinned. And Negan's like, crap.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they definitely got the funny moments going on, the little witty moments going
Hmm.
on. So,
And again, Negan is an excellent bad, and even when he was bad, he had these moments. He had a it was a twisted sense of humor, but even as bad Negan,
yeah.
he would say or do things that were amusing,
Mhm.
and now we've got. I think it's for me. I think it's maybe more so than you. It's going to be interesting to see where Negan goes on this particular path.
Yeah, I agree. That's gonna be interesting to watch. I think, and I never thought I'd say this, but I do like the actor. I
Hmm.
think, Negan's character, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, is probably the best thing on this show right now. Because everything else is just it's fine, but he's the thing to watch. His scenes are the ones to watch right
Oh
now.
yeah, he does very much command a presence.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see if everyone else can keep up.
Hmm. I'm with you.
Yeah. So that's all I have to say about that. What about you? Do you have anything else you think?
No, I think we've covered all the highlights. Again, there's quite a bit going on,
Mhm.
but it was all kind of focused in one direction.
Right.
And I think they did a great setup. It's a this is a as long if they can stick the landing, this was a good launch episode.
Yeah. Now we just gotta get through 7 more episodes. Like, I actually feel really hopeful right now, and we've been here before where we felt, "Oh, this is gonna be good," and then the
Hmm.
shit just falls apart.
Right.
So, we'll see if they can carry it. They definitely got out of the gate on the right foot.
Yeah.
So
And I will say, I mean, the first season of Dead City was not. I mean, compare especially compared to where they had gone with some of the other spinoffs. Uh, I thought it was a solid show. I mean, was it,
mhm,
excellence in broadcasting? Probably not, but it was a
mhm.
solid show.
Yeah,
And as long as they can maintain that and build off of that,
mm,
I think this is going to be a good season.
yeah. I agree.
And I'm not looking. I mean, we all know at this point it's not going. We're not going to get Oscar winning performances here or anything, guys.
Right.
Um, but a good a good show without a lot of plot holes is really the what I'm looking for.
I know. That would be so excellent if we can not just point out 50 things per episode. Like, we have a laundry list every time we come into a review. We're like, "Okay, what about this? That's dumb. That's dumb. Let's just not do that this season."
Hopefully at this point, the worst thing that's going to happen is her hair.
Yeah, please, please let that be the worst. I would love that. I would love that for the show, and I would love that for myself.
Yeah, and even and I will say it was such a solid, you know, launching point. Really, I didn't think, and I didn't, and again, I didn't go back and watch any of last season,
Mhm.
but between the previews from last or the review from last year and then launching off, I think they did a good solid job of getting you put right back in that world again.
Right.
So, and even though they've been gone for a while, it didn't feel, it. I thought it was kind of easy to slip back into
Yeah,
without
it
a lot of
was.
difficulties.
Yeah, it was easy.
Hmm.
Okay, good stuff. So I think we're done.
I think we're done.
All right. So thank you to everyone who listened live. We appreciate you for dropping in. You can like and subscribe wherever you are listening. That helps us out a lot. It helps other TWDU fans find the podcast. And I know you want to subscribe so you don't miss us when we are back next week. And we will be back next week.
Because
So
we are so entertaining.
we we are entertaining. So anyway, that's it for today, you guys. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves.
Bye bye.